I'm Brian Bruda, and I will be doing the trumpet audition, the excerpts, and scales for the Ontario Provincial Honor Band. We're going to be looking at the scales first, okay? So we will do the C chromatic for you and the G chromatic. That's what we're going to look at first. Generally, for all of these, you want to make sure that you have a lot of air for all these scales and your etudes, okay? And by a lot of air, I mean nice full sound the entire way through. I only do one octave, but make sure that's still there. For this, I like to use the analogy of a house for these scales. You want to make sure that, yes, those notes are high for you, but you need to have a proper foundation. You do not start building the house at the roof. You don't build the roof first. You need to build the foundation and everything else. We're not going to get into that. But the reference here is that you need to have a strong low in mid register to ensure that the high register sounds full and nice, okay? So a strategy I would use to do that, and this is what I like to do, is the strategy that I used here is the idea of almost that nozzle where you put your finger on the hose, the water fires out faster. And this is the idea here, is that you need to have the same amount of air that you would use for that low C, okay, in order to hit the higher notes. So what you do is close the embouchure hole, if you want to say it, okay? So from a low C, you're using more of an ah syllable. When you're hitting the higher notes, the high Cs, and all those other higher notes there, you're using more of an E syllable. E, and the hole is smaller. Same amount of air, smaller hole, just a faster velocity. That will end up helping you to get the higher notes for this, the scales, and in general, actually. Same thing with the low G. Low G is 1 and 3. It's quite low, but you need the same amount of air that you would do for the low C. Same amount. You're going from an ah to an E syllable, lots of air, controlled sound, and making sure that you're tonguing the first note and you're tonguing the top note there, and that's all you have to do. You only need to tongue the low G and the high G. Everything else can be slurred. And you gotta tongue that way, okay? That goes same one with the C. Make sure that these articulations are there. You're slurring the chromatic scales. A major, same thing. You're tonguing these ones. When you're tonguing these ones, make sure that you have a da syllable. I like to use da because it's a more smooth and sweet sound. Once it gets tenuto, but you can still shape the da syllable however you please. You can make it a little shorter and things like that. Don't make it dot or tu, ti. Don't make them too short. Don't make it. There's no tone to that. You want to make sure you're exemplifying your tone and your beautiful sound by doing these da syllables. Da, 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 da. Making sure that's nice in there. With the A major arpeggio, you'll notice in here, you can just go. The only note that you really have to change the vowels for, other than 1 and 2, is the C sharp, 1, 2, 3. So all you have to do is, that's all you have to do. That's the only movement you have to do there. 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and everything like that. That one's beautiful because you can do the E there as 1 and 2. You don't have to make it open, and it allows you to place those notes perfectly. And then when you heard me doing this, take 2. Nice ba 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 ba. You want to make sure that those are nice and smooth with sound. Don't make them too short. Same with the B flat major and the B flat major arpeggio. Do the same idea. You'll notice in the B flat major arpeggio, same thing. The second note is the only one that you have to move. 1, 1, 3, 1, and everything else is 1 there. So only the D in that B flat major arpeggio is the only thing that you have to move. Everything is just step. That's all it is. That concludes the scale. So just make sure that you are naturally ascending and you're naturally descending with the scales. Bring life to the scales and make sure that you're doing the proper articulations. Okay, so let's look at the etudes. You should be looking at etude set B, and let's look at obviously etude number 1, okay? So this one's an andantino, so it's a little slower. It's not a fast etude, so you should be using this for more lyrical playing. With this one, I would be using a more of a da syllable, okay? Don't use a 2-syllable. As you can tell, a lot of it is slurred, okay? So you don't really have to do too much tonguing, but when you have to tongue, make sure you're using that da syllable, not a, but a, not a, but more of a nice full sound, broad sound, okay? Play very smoothly here. It's lyrical playing, so you can really establish your tone quality, show your tone quality in this etude. So, again, you'll see in this one, lip slurs. Preparatory exercise for this one, I would be doing really going through all the various vowel variations to prepare for these ones. And I would especially, as you can tell, really focus on the first vowel lip slur because you have a ton of those. First bar, the third bar especially. Okay, so really focus on that. Do preparatory exercise on that, and we'll go from there. So we start piano. Okay, so really quiet, but don't be too quiet that you're under supported. Okay, make sure your sound is supported. Really beautiful, smooth sound, okay? Smooth, slow air, okay? Really making it that, okay? You can see the crescendo there in bar 3, sorry. Yes, 3. Really use that to your advantage to help you actually nail the D to F lip slur. Using more velocity of speed and really pushing off will help you get the notes sound much easier, okay? Looking at bar 5, this is a big one, right? You got a B flat D to a high A. You want to actually more so push off the D. Make sure that the D connects the A. You don't want the sound like, you don't want that, okay? You don't want it to sound like it's just like do da dee, but more do da dee. So like this. Really push off the D. Connect the D to A. But you obviously have to start at the B flat. Okay, so really, really anchor. Push off the B flat, but make sure that that D connects to the A. Really doing that will help you to get that note more successful and make it sound. Okay? Big jump in bar 5 to 6 with an octave jump. Change your embouchure from an E embouchure to an A embouchure. You don't want it to be, so you want it to sound more like this. Really drop. Okay, make sure you're hitting 2 different embouchures, because if you're still on the high embouchure, you're definitely gonna miss pitch that low G. Okay, so really watch that. Change your embouchure. Don't pivot the trumpet. Change it completely. If you have to take make sure you're tonguing if you want to. Okay, a da syllable. Let's look at bar 7. Okay, you have a big jump, a big drop here in intervals. You got a B flat to a D back to a B flat. I would use this analogy, okay, of a shopping cart. Okay. You want to, let's pretend you're pushing through an aisle, okay? Keep your head up, keep your chin up, keep the horn up, okay? But because you're going down, just grab, put it in your cart, okay? You really don't want it to be like this. If you're doing that, you're first off cutting your diaphragm, right? By obviously you don't move that much, but doing this or pivoting the trumpet to a lower position will actually probably make you mispitch that note more. So keep the head up. Just touch that note. Grab that note and keep going. Okay, so. And use the crescendo to your advantage. Okay, make it still continue the smooth playing. Everything else here, from bar 9, as you can tell, you're at forte. That's a complete contrast difference to what you've been playing. You've been playing dolce, piano, sweetly. This has got to be very big. Still sweetly, but making sure you're at the dynamic contrast. So. really beautiful sound and keep the sound there, okay? Bar 13 to the end, really make it mysterious sound. You don't want it to sound like this. Make it sound mysterious, give it some life. Okay? Really make sure that you're making it mysterious. If you add character to the sound and character to the way you're playing, you're actually going to win the listening committee over. It's all about style, okay? Again, don't stress too much about tempo. That really concludes this etude, so let's move on to etude number 2. Okay, so etude number 2, it's fast. Let's automatically look at that, right? Allegro, 120, it's faster than the first one. So this is going to be showing more of your technical characteristics, your character playing, okay, your technical playing. Look at the articulations of the first bar. Then look at the articulations in bar 9. And look at the rhythms in both bar 1 and 2 and bar 9 and 10, okay? They are exactly the same except for the articulations, right? Bar 9 is all tongued. Bar 1 and 2, you have some slur 2, tongue 1, slur 2, tongue 1, okay? So make sure that there's an articulation difference there, okay? With this one, you're playing piano, and of course, then 9, you're playing louder. With this in mind, they're basically very similar sounding. So if you can nail bar 1, you'll be able to do bar 9 pretty easy, okay? So let's just show, making sure you actually really focus on these articulations. So, really make sure you're really clean it. If you have to sing it, sing the rhythms, sing the articulations, do that. Ta 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 ta. Okay, and if that's too fast for you, take it slower. Okay, then use the crescendo into bar 5, bar 4 and 5 there. Sorry, bar 4. Okay, push it in there because you're starting piano. You're gonna have to get a little louder. There's no dynamic marking there, so you can go up to probably a mezzo forte. Okay, really make the dynamic contrast. So. This part here, make it very nationalistic, make it big. Okay, big. This one, I would actually be pretty light and crisp, okay? More of a 2 syllable in this one. We use the da syllable in the first one, you're using a 2 on this one. You don't want to make it too long. Make it nice and crisp, nice and short, okay? Let's look at bar 11. Okay, in bar 11, you have another this big drop. Remember what I was talking about in the first etude about the shopping cart where you're pushing and then you got to just keep your face up or down, right? You want to keep your face up, but just kind of grabbing the note. Okay, do that with this one because you have an F to a low A flat. Okay, so keep your head up. Okay, keep your head up, and you'll be able to get that note with succession. Okay, it's gonna be good and easy for you if you do it like that. Okay, really higher chances. Bar 13, look at bar 13 and 14 actually, okay? Articulations, so you have your slurring up to the G in beat 3, then you actually stop, you have to tongue that C, and then you finish the tongue, you see that? You have to slur 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, slur 3, then slur 5, okay? Really make sure that articulation is there because you don't want it to sound like this. That's not what's written. So you have to make sure that you're keeping it exactly what the listening committee wants, what this etude wants. Okay, make sure that that's there. Bar 13, what do you see there? You have an E natural, right? The E natural stays throughout. If you see C, E, and G, or G, E, C, the first break, what is that? That's the C major arpeggio. This bar is pretty much, except for the B flat, in the last note of that whole bar, that's all major. That's all C major there. Okay, so it should sound happy there. Okay, really nice and happy sounding. Okay, if this is too fast for you, take it slowly. You want to end this whole etude off really big. Big sound at the end. Okay. Other than that, everything here, make it sound light and crisp, using the 2 syllable, and if you have to take something slower, take it slower. Again, if you have any problems, go to your teacher, okay? Let's move on to etude number 3. Okay, in this etude, again, we have a ton of triplets. But if you look at the tempo, you have quarter note equals 80, which automatically means that you're playing much slower than the other one, right? With this one though, it is very jumpy. It's kind of high. Okay, this is kind of a high register playing etude. With this one, use more of a DA syllable, right? It's kind of in the middle. You're playing a moderato tempo, so it's not too fast, not too slow. Okay, make sure that everything's there. So smooth playing. Okay, nice, beautiful sounds. Okay, look at bar 3. This is where you got a ton of triplets. So use that to your advantage. You just keep going, push off each other, and give it some intensity. Okay, so. Right? Push off, add some intensity, make some character out of this, okay? Because it's not too fast, it's not too slow, right? We're in moderato, so give it a little bit of intensity. You're crescendoing the mezzo forte in bar 4, in the middle of bar 4, okay? And you're staying there, but you can still give it intensity. Keep the mezzo forte, but give intensity throughout that until basically bar 8, okay? Now let's look at bar 7. The reason why I'm looking at bar 7 is that's actually probably one of the tougher rhythms. Not rhythms, note-wise, okay? Because it's all triplets, but it's very jumpy. Take this one slow. That first 2 triplet figures are probably the toughest ones. Obviously, the last 2 beats there are not too bad, okay? The last 2 triplets there. But the first ones really speak on that, really focus on it, sorry, I mean. Really take that thing slowly. Work those notes out. Don't even do the rhythm that you see. Focus on the notes. Focus on those intervals. Once you get that, put it into the tempo. Put it into the time. Put it into tempo. Put it back in together as the articulations and the rhythms. Okay. Bar 9. This is a big one. You want to see. We're looking at the first beat. You have D, G, A, and into a B flat. Really high. We're in the high register here. Push off the D. Use the crescendo to your advantage. Faster air, smaller embouchure hold to really push off and make it beautiful. This one should all be dolce. Right, very beautiful. Use a lot of air, faster speed, all right? Smaller embouchure hold, but really make sure that your sound is not thin, right? Push off the D into that B flat, hold it, make it a beautiful sound, let it linger. Keep going, okay? This whole part, dolce. Let's look at bar 13 though. This is where the 13 and 14 have a really awkward rhythm. So, 13, same thing as bar 9. Goes to that rhythm right there. Triplet, right? We have da 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 dee da, right? That's that rhythm there in bar 14 is probably the toughest of the whole thing, of the whole etude. So really focus on that. Play it slowly. That's the tempo you probably want to go, so you can take it a little slower. Until you get it to the tempo. But again, faster air. You keep yourself in the E syllables, E sounding embouchure, okay? Just to make sure that the sound's there. Make it sure it's full, but not too thin. And then, let's look at the second last bar. Look at that G in the last beat, the last G you play before the fermata. That is what's known as the penultimate note, or a penultimate note is the last note of a bar, or last note of a phrase, okay? That one should be the longest, and especially because you're ritting, like we're doing a retard there, okay? You really want to make sure that that G is the longest of all those notes. So, like this is what it should sound like. Okay, making sure that that G is not this. Don't do this. You are ritting there. Yes, you're doing a retard, but you're not giving enough emphasis. You want to really slow down the train, okay, and make sure that that G is the longest sounding in that whole bar. And on that G there, the fermata, add a little bit of vibrato if you can, or really just keep the intensity there, keep the sound there, and cut off maybe after 6 beats. Okay, so this. that concludes this Etude. It actually concludes the entire Etude set B. I wish you the best of luck with your audition, and if you have any problems, do go to your teacher for extra help, and you should be fine, okay?